Around the World Lit Audio. Journey to the West by Wu Cheng'en. Chapter 3. Full narration script. Channel intro. Welcome to Around the World Lit Audio, the greatest novels ever written, from every corner of the world, in English. New chapter every week, free to listen. Chapter recap. In Chapter 2, Sun Wukong spent 7 years sweeping and growing vegetables at the cave of the patriarch Zhu Bajie, waiting for the real teaching to begin. Then one midnight the patriarch whispered the 72 transformations in his ear, the ability to become any creature, any object, any form in existence. He learned the cloud somersault. He got expelled for showing off. He somersaulted back across the ocean, defeated the demon terrorizing his tribe, and reached behind his ear to find the as you will cudgel waiting for him. Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Sun Wukong had a weapon. He had the transformations. He had the cloud somersault. He had immortality techniques still to master and a kingdom to protect, and the particular energy of a being who has recently discovered what he is capable of and is looking for adequate expression of it. What he did not have was armor. This was, in his view, an oversight that needed correcting. He thought about where a person of his abilities and ambitions might acquire armor suitable to his station. The answer was obvious once he considered it. The Dragon Kings of the Four Seas were the most powerful rulers of the underwater world, ancient beings of enormous power, who governed the oceans and controlled the weather, and lived in palaces of coral and jade at the bottom of the sea. If anyone had armor worthy of the Monkey King, it was a Dragon King. He went to visit the Dragon King of the Eastern Sea. He did not send a message first. He did not request an audience. He walked to the shore of the Eastern Sea, descended into the water with the ease of a creature for whom physical obstacles are primarily theoretical, and arrived at the Dragon Palace unannounced. The Dragon King's name was Guang. He was ancient and powerful and accustomed to being the most formidable thing in any room he occupied. He was not, therefore, entirely pleased to find a monkey sitting in his throne room. When he arrived, Sun Wukong said, "Old Dragon King, I have come for a gift." Guang said, "What kind of gift?" Sun Wukong said, "A weapon suitable for my abilities, and armor to match. You are the Dragon King of the Eastern Sea. Surely you have something appropriate in your treasury." The Dragon King looked at him. He had heard about the stone monkey. Word traveled in the ocean the way it travels anywhere, through the mouths of those who have witnessed something they cannot explain. The monkey who had cracked from a stone egg, who had taught himself to rule a mountain, who had sailed across to ocean seeking immortality, and had apparently found something even more useful. This was not a creature the Dragon King wished to antagonize unnecessarily. He said, "Let us see what we have." The treasury of the Dragon Palace was extensive. Weapons of every kind, swords, spears, halberds, clubs, blades of shapes that had no name in any human language. The Dragon King's soldiers brought them out one at a time. Sun Wukong tried each one. He picked up a halberd that 800 men would have struggled to lift and swung it through the air like a reed. Too light. He tried a sword that had split mountains. Too light. He tried a club of black iron that had flattened armies. Too light. The soldiers looked at each other. The Dragon King looked at Sun Wukong with an expression that was moving slowly from diplomatic patience toward genuine concern. Then a lady-in-waiting said, "Your Majesty, there is the pillar." The Dragon King said, "The pillar?" She said, "The iron pillar. The one used to measure the depth of the sea. It has been glowing with colored light for the past several days. Perhaps it senses its owner's arrival." The Dragon King looked at the pillar. It was enormous, 20 feet long and as thick as a barrel, a column of black iron with golden bands at each end, the same pillar that had anchored the bottom of the sea for ages, that had been set there as a measuring rod when you the Great was controlling the floods, that had been there since before the Dragon Palace was built around it. He had not been able to move it. No one had been able to move it. He gestured toward it with the resigned air of a man who suspects what is about to happen. Sun Wukong walked to the pillar. He put his hand on it. The pillar flashed with light. He said, "Too thick and too long. Let it be smaller." The pillar was smaller. He said, "Smaller still." It was smaller still. He held it in his hand, now the length of a staff, perfectly balanced, perfectly weighted, with golden bands at each end glowing with the particular brightness of something that has been waiting for a very long time to be found. This was the as you will cudgel, the same weapon we saw him use in Chapter 2. But now properly introduced, the weapon that you the Great had used to measure the seas, that had lain at the bottom of the ocean for ages, that weighed 13,500 pounds and answered to no one but Sun Wukong, growing and shrinking as he required, tucking itself behind his ear when not needed. He said, "Excellent. Now the armor." The Dragon King went to get his brothers. This was not because he wanted company. It was because the armor Sun Wukong was requesting was beyond what any single Dragon King could provide, and because there was safety in numbers when dealing with something like the Monkey King, and because the problem of Sun Wukong was becoming, in the Dragon King's view, a problem that needed distributing. The 4 dragon kings of the eastern, western, southern, and northern seas assembled in the palace and produced between them a suit of armor that was, by any standard, extraordinary. Golden chain mail, a phoenix feather cap of bright red gold, cloud walking boots of lotus root silk. Sun Wukong put them on. He examined himself. He was pleased. He was very pleased. He turned in the golden light of the dragon palace and felt the weight of the armor and the balance of the staff and knew, in the way that creatures know these things, that he was now exactly what he was supposed to be. He said, "I thank you, Dragon Kings, for your generous gifts." The Dragon Kings smiled with the tight smiles of people who have just been robbed very politely. Sun Wukong somersaulted out of the palace and back to his mountain. The Dragon Kings convened. They sent a memorial, a formal complaint, to the Jade Emperor in his heavenly palace. They described what had happened. They described the weapon. They described the armor. They described the Monkey King in terms that communicated, without quite saying so directly, that something needed to be done about him, before he did something that would require a great deal of cleaning up afterward. The Jade Emperor read the memorial. He was the ruler of heaven, the supreme divine authority, the lord of all gods and immortals and celestial bureaucrats, the being at the top of the heavenly hierarchy that governed the universe. He had governed it for a very long time, and had seen many things. He had not seen anything quite like Sun Wukong. He discussed the situation with his advisors. The options were limited. They could send an army to subdue the monkey, but army sent to subdue the monkey had a poor track record, as the Dragon Kings had just demonstrated. Or they could offer him something. One advisor said, "Give him a title. Give him a position in the heavenly court. Bring him within the system." The Jade Emperor considered this. He sent a messenger to the mountain of flowers and fruit. The messenger descended from heaven on a cloud, and arrived at the water curtain cave, and delivered the Jade Emperor's invitation. Sun Wukong received it with the particular pleasure of someone whose ambitions have been read correctly. He had been the great sage equal to heaven in his own estimation for some time. Being recognized officially was merely catching up with reality. He somersaulted to heaven. Heaven was extraordinary. Even Sun Wukong, who was not easily impressed, was impressed. The golden towers, the jade pavilions, the celestial armies in their ranks, the gods of every kind going about their divine business with the efficient busyness of a very large and very old administration. It was beautiful and immense and organized in ways that suggested the universe had been running itself with considerable competence for a very long time. He was given a position, keeper of the heavenly horses. He was put in charge of the celestial stables. He accepted the position graciously. He went to the stables. He looked at the horses. He worked diligently for several days, feeding the horses and grooming them, and generally performing the duties of a keeper of the heavenly horses, with the focused attention he brought to everything. Then he asked a fellow official, what rank the position of keeper of the heavenly horses carried in the heavenly hierarchy. The official told him it was the lowest rank in the entire heavenly court, a position of no importance, a position given to beings of no particular distinction, requiring no particular abilities, carrying no particular authority. Sun Wukong was quiet for a moment. Then he left. He did not say goodbye. He did not hand in notice. He simply somersaulted back to the mountain of flowers and fruit and announced to his tribe that he was no longer the keeper of the heavenly horses. He was, he announced, the great sage equal to heaven. He had a banner made. He planted it on his mountain. And heaven, which had hoped the appointment would solve the problem of the Monkey King, understood that it had not solved the problem of the Monkey King. It had, if anything, made the problem of the Monkey King significantly more complicated. Chapter Transition. You have reached the end of Chapter 3 of Journey to the West, by Wu Cheng'en. In Chapter 4, Heaven sends an army to deal with Sun Wukong. The army does not succeed. The Jade Emperor tries a different approach. And Sun Wukong, flying his banner, holding his cudgel, wearing his golden armor, prepares for the confrontation that will define the first part of his story and end, eventually, with the Buddha himself reaching down from his celestial palace to settle the matter once and for all. Chapter 4 is available next week. Subscribe to Around the World Lit Audio so you never miss a chapter. A new chapter arrives every week.